and we're seeing sort of a shift there where a lot of it's about software development, it's about IoT, it's about figuring out how to operate and gain the skills necessary to compete in the future workforce. So I think that transition is happening. We see a lot of the things in the news around IIoT. Myself, I'm in that industry. We write reports. We're out there talking about this sort of stuff. I think there is programs to inform the public, and I think it is very important because, you know, when you think about IoT, IIoT, robotics, you know, these aren't just industrial technologies. These are technologies that are transforming our personal lives as well as our business lives. So I think it is very important that the general population understand this technology and work to gain the skills necessary to compete in the future workforce. It's going to require some at least basic understanding of what it means to be working with technology.
I just want to second that because we see as an industry there is data that's out there right now, and I'm going to swag the number. It's you can get it on the internet or we can get it for you, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.4 million jobs that are going to go unfilled in the next 24 months because of the skills gap. And so to John's point, a lot of these new initiatives for retraining or for bringing that education to the general public about becoming a robot programmer or understanding automation is really helping that. And it's, for me personally, it's a little bit troubling to be reading these articles that are saying, oh, robots, and in the last 6 months especially, headlines that are saying robots are taking our jobs. In 22 years, in 2 decades in the business, it's never been like that. Now all of a sudden it's being publicized, and it's really not true. Companies are more competitive if they automate, and they can retain quality employees, and oftentimes they're growing their population, they're growing their employment pool by automating because they're more able to compete in the market, generate greater business, and grow the business.
I can only speak from the medical side, but in the education, you'll see a lot of the major medical companies start to do ad work, advertisements on TV, and you're starting to see now robotic surgery being put on television, and you're starting to see that whole industry starting to teach a whole, not only an older generation, but also a younger generation coming up. And it just puts also the emphasis on the younger kids coming up where science is important, and also, you know, getting into some of these areas that we as adults try to push our kids and our college kids to. I'm affiliated with Johns Hopkins. We're licensing the robot out of Johns Hopkins University, and we personally have hired close to 7 of their interns within that school, who we've discovered who are as talented as a workforce than anybody we've seen, and I'm in Silicon Valley. So we're seeing college educated students coming out fully tricked out, and they're able to compete with, you know, a 5 or 7 year Silicon Valley engineer. So the trend's coming, it's happening, and we just need to get behind it and push it harder.
Chris, I'll leave you with this from my perspective. One of the most promising things that we've seen, STEM, First Robotics, and the initiatives to bring automation and robot technology to younger and younger groups with a previous employer, not with my current employer, but I was in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago for a science and technology fair, and it was literally targeted at high school kids and below. It wasn't college age, it was high school kids and below, and it blew my mind that an 11-year-old boy walked up next to me, and we had what my company was cooking at the time. It's their Omni Move. It's an omnidirectional AGV. And this 9-year-old stood, or 11-year-old stood next to me, looked down at it, looked at me, and he goes, "What's the practical application?" I was like, "Get out. Get out of my booth." So it is, I mean, it's a little, near term, it's a little scary, but long term, STEM and First Robotics and initiatives like that are promising because we're bringing the automation to the kids earlier and earlier.
Awesome. Awesome. I think on that note, that's about all the time we have.